So, like, I saw this shit, and they're saying, like, over the last 3 windows, Chelsea have spent £832 million. And now, granted, like, that's, amortized or whatever over, 8 years for some of these players. But still, you're talking about almost $1 billion in 3 windows. And these motherfuckers still have the gall to talk shit about City and City's spending. And it's like, ooh, what's going on here? Where are we existing in this world where you guys can dump out money, but because you spread it over some years, it's different. Instead of City being like, you know what, we're going to spend $100 million, but we're going to sell $115 million, and now we're the assholes. Fuck off.
Yeah,
and welcome to the Snobby Boys.
Cheers, Kyle. Cheers.
So going further into that, no, I'm just kidding. So we're gonna do.
You are now tuned into the Snobby Boy podcast.
All right, guys, welcome to the Snobby Boy podcast. I'm your host, Colby. This is my guy, Joe. This is my guy, Kyle. So today we're going to talk about a few things. Obviously, that's why we're always here. We're going to go over the Josko signing. We're going to talk a little bit about Lucas Paqueta and I guess it's Jeremy Doku.
Doku.
Yep. And of course, we're going to go over the match against Burnley. Going over a little bit about Kev's injury, Haaland, Rico, Stones, and Diaz being gone, and then a little bit on how Burnley played, because I think that is a deserving talking point. So let's get right into it. The Josko signing, it finally fucking happened. Jesus Christ. Dude, it honestly, it made the summer feel long. Like, considering last season, we went from the whole buildup of Haaland at the end of the season, and then literally within a week and a half, 2 weeks, whatever, we have Erling Haaland. And then, of course, the avalanche of all the signings that we had throughout the summer. But this signing in particular has just made us feel like we were, I won't say dabbling around the subject, but we weren't really getting to the point with what we wanted out of them. And I mean, for me personally, I think that with Josko, we should have brought him, and we could have brought him in a lot sooner. But obviously, Leipzig had their,
valuation.
Exactly. Their valuation needs, if you want to call them that.
And they go and smash Bayern.
Right. And then the thing of it is, like, why didn't we get him in earlier? I feel like we needed him for the preseason a little bit more to get accustomed to it. Do you think that he needed the preseason? Do you think that him coming in late, he'll be able to slot in just fine?
I think obviously we don't know, but I would imagine that he was like, you go into the season, whether or not you may or like have a transfer lingering, you go into the season like, well, I'm still with this club. So I'm sure he was still training, still doing all that stuff, still getting match fit, whether he's with us or not. Now, of course, we have a different playing style, yada, yada, yada. But I also think that Pep is looking at it not quite in the same as like a Ruben Diaz situation. I think he's looking at it as like, this kid's 21. Like, let's make it a little ease in situation. We don't need to throw him in like hot, So I think that's all it is. And I do think that I think he is match fit. I mean, he was on the bench, but I think he is match fit already.
Yeah, well, and of course we'll get into this in a little bit, but we did see him come on, I believe it was around the 76th minute, and take over was it for Ruben? Or I'm sorry, not Ruben. Ruben wasn't playing. Why did I even say that?
When he came in, he was he took over at the left back position, and they moved Ake inside.
That's right. That's right.
With Laporte, or then Ake came off, and Laporte was in. So he was playing primarily out wide as like a left back instead of in the back three, because we had a weird formation, not weird, but just a different formation in that game. So I'm excited that he's here. It takes two to tango in these deals, so it could have been Leipzig dragging their feet a little bit on our end. So who knows really what caused the delay, but it would have been nice to get him in a little earlier to start working with the guys to build that chemistry, to understand, what Pep's trying to do. Because it looks like formationally it's going to be a little bit more fluid, and it's not just going to be a straight up back three, Stones and Rodri. It seems like it's going to be a little more flexible this year with opponent and everything. So it'd be nice to get him a little, So, but he appears perfectly ready to play. It's just getting that tactical piece down. But he appears to be a pretty smart kid. And from the brief cameo we saw against Burnley, I liked what I saw already, even with him at that like left back position almost. So,
And a side note on that, like, I feel like we have to acknowledge that Nathan Ake had a fucking match. Like,
yes, he did.
I am loving the guy that he is developing into with us. I mean, granted, he was solid with Burnley, but like he's another level with us, and I'm loving it.
And that's another testament to Pep and him being able to bring in players from the outside and groom them and turn them into their highest potentials, basically, is what it feels
exactly.
like.
I mean, I truly believe that, like, A, he's the best manager in the world. B, he's the best people manager in the world. And C, if you come in to play for him, and I think that we're seeing this in our transfer power, is like people are like, listen, like, I know I'm here. I know I'm fucking great, but I know that guy is going to make me like here. And who doesn't want to win trophies too? And God knows we're going to win trophies.
And with Pep, that's the thing. Like, with managerial styles, there's two things. You have guys who are great managers and can manage people, and usually you have guys who are very tactically sound and know the X's and O's. But Pep is like the best at both things, so it's like it's a perfect storm.
Right.
Like a true like player manager, even though he's like way beyond those years.
Yeah. And I mean, to echo back what I said, I mean, even Mateo Kovacic came in, and the whole reason why he wanted to come to City so bad, and even with who we're about to talk about, Lucas Paqueta, they desperately want to play for Pep. Yeah, and there's a reason for it. So there's that.
Brazilians love to play for Pep.
Yeah. So going into Lucas Paqueta, as it stands right now, Kev is injured. So this really couldn't have come at a better time. It seems that we now need another piece in the midfield more so than we did before. What do you think, if the signing does happen, which it looks almost imminent? What do you think he'll be able to bring to the team, both from the attacking position and the midfield position? Joe,
hey, that's me.
Hey, Joe.
So the numbers being thrown around are less than ideal from a fan perspective. But now that we have this lingering hamstring injury for Kev, and it looks like he's going to be out for a substantial amount of time going forward, it almost necessitates, hopefully it's not too long and he's back, but it seems like having him out for any extensive time, we're going to need some coverage there. Phil was fantastic, I think, when he came in.
Dude, that like side boot touch.
Dude, oh my God. Sidebar on that one. Oh my God. My buddy texted me and told me when he saw that live, he was erect afterwards. So
exactly, messy pants across the board.
Yes. But anywhoosie, I think it's almost ramps up the interest level for sure to bring in somebody, because as much as I enjoy seeing McAtee and Palmer getting some run in big games, we're going to need game changers off of the bench. And Lucas, I think, could be that. He could start for us and just add depth, and that just gives us more options to play guys out wide and obviously centrally. So I think at this point, we're going to have to dip our toes into the transfer window and potentially bring him in. I know that he has already said he wants to come. Allegedly, has already signed personal terms and agreed with us as far as what he wants and money wise and all that stuff. So I think at this point we're going to need to go ahead and grab him if we can.
It's just like what you were saying though, the money. Like, I mean, allegedly we've thrown in a 60 million pound, and to me that's a perfect valuation of him as a player.
That's
maybe
more than
even
fair.
A little high, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Kevin De Bruyne was 55. Just saying. I mean, yeah, granted, years ago, but whatever. I just think, I mean, we're looking probably in the 70, 75 range for him. And then if we do go in for Doku, that's another 40 or 50. I mean, not that we can't afford it, obviously. We have,
plenty of money right now.
Yeah, we're winning and winning and winning, and that just gives us more money.
Right.
But at the same time, I mean, like, is he that guy? It's like Declan Rice for 105. Like, is he that guy? And I mean, I don't know. Riyad Mahrez wasn't that much. Like, and I feel like he's that. I feel like he's that actually same kind of player. I think he's actually like more of a like for Riyad than like Kevin or whatever. But either way, I like you're saying, like, we're kind of either fucked or, I mean, I don't think we're fucked either way. I think we have we have the depth, we have all that, that we could be fine, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be a like for Kevin. I think it would be more Phil would take care of that main role, and then Lucas would come in and supplement, but that would almost cement Phil being like that starting creative floating midfielder role that Kevin was playing. And I think Phil was tremendous in that
majestic.
And once he and Alvarez kind of occupied some of the same spaces when it was Alvarez and Haaland up top, because they like to play and operate in the same half space there. But once, not to say it's a good thing that Haaland came off, but once it was just Phil and Alvarez up top, that's when we started to see both of them making those like diagonal runs in behind the center backs, and it started to release that long ball a bit more for us. So it would just add the depth for me. Colby, where were you going to
go? That's where I was going to go with it. I mean, for me, I think both of these players, speaking, Lucas Paqueta and Jeremy Doku, if we're looking at two different players, we're obviously not finding a like for Riyad Mahrez as far as a replacement goes.
I don't think you can really,
and you can't. That's a special talent that I feel like didn't get the notoriety that he deserved. But yeah, Paqueta, I feel like these signings, if we do make them, they are because they are what's left, and because it's what's needed right now. I don't think they're going to be particularly good signings. I would like to see them on lower contracts if they do. I mean, Pep could develop, like we said earlier. Pep has a knack for developing players that come outside. He obviously sees things that we do. So, in saying that, I feel like these guys coming in, especially wanting to play for Pep, they'll become decent players. They'll become system players, but I feel like that's all they'll become. They will not be any kind of star. They will not break out or anything like that. They will be the picture on the wall in the hotel room. It's just there to fill up space. So,
see, I don't agree with that entirely, because I do think, and pardon me if I'm like correct. I'm not trying to correct. I'm just like, is it Paqueta?
I've heard it say Paqueta.
I don't know.
In so many different times. So,
okay. Go with what you like.
Yeah. So,
and it's okay.
Paqueta. Okay. So, with him, I mean, again, I do feel like it's going to be that year buffer kind of deal, just because of where we're going to probably try to fit him in, which is going to be probably in like 4 different positions.
Right.
Whereas Doku, I actually think that kid's going to actually, like, he could be a breakout. Like, his pace is something we're missing, honestly. And
he's rapid, as they like to say over across the pond. He's very rapid.
Quick as fuck. That motherfucker will scream. And then, like, I mean, it's just it would add something that we've been missing since we lost Sterling. And I think that he could really, really be, and then that frees up space for Erling. Like it's a whole thing that I think that he could be a breakout star with us, especially once Kevin's back fit and like, because they're Belgian together, blah blah blah.
Right.
There's that connectivity, but obviously Kevin can just connect with whoever the fuck he wants. But yeah, I think that it with Lucas, it would be more of give him a year. With Doku, I think it would be like he's looking at a 10 to 15 goal, 10 assists, something like that season, like off the bat.
I think Lucas has, since he's mid-20s, he still has room to grow, especially coming into a new system with better players around him and with a far better manager. He has a little bit of room to grow, I think, to be a better player than he is now. Doku being 21 and been playing not nearly with the quality of player that he would potentially be playing with us. I'm very adamant and excited for the possibility of bringing him in because of that pace. And that would potentially push Bernardo into a more central place and central role. If Kevin's out, then you could have Phil and Bernardo playing more centrally. And I think that's both of their best positions is more in the middle of the park. And having somebody like Jack on the other side, who's more of a ball carrier, and Doku's pace on the other side, I think that's more of a balance that we've kind of been lacking because Bernardo, Kevin, Phil, all not necessarily similar, but they're not the paciest of guys in the world. They're all the same size almost. But Kevin's a little bit bigger, but that just provides a different quality that, like you were saying, we don't have currently. So I think Doku, with the squad that we have and the manager that we have, has unlimited potential to get even better because he's been somebody I've been keeping an eye on for a couple of years now as a potential breakout star. So I'm very excited about potentially bringing him in. I think he could be the missing piece out wide,
especially if we get him on that low end, that like 40-ish end. That if we can get him at that, like, because I think his like transfer market or whatever valuation is actually sub 40, but they're holding him at like a 40-50 valuation. And
of course,
yeah,
negotiation tactics. Of course, they got to ask for
Right.
more than what they would originally want for him. So we'll see.
We'll see. So let's switch gears a little bit and let's talk about the match against Burnley. First of all, it's exciting.
Great to see Vinny.
It was. First of all, it's great to have football back. It's so funny, man. I said it last year. Like the preseason or the time between season it's so
2
short
months,
you don't
but...
realize it. It's so short you don't even realize it. It feels so long, especially like this window because of the Josko deal. It's felt so long. But yeah, it's great to be back and excellent fucking match against Burnley. It's exactly what I think we all expected.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that statement.
Yeah, and it's we did a really good job of controlling the pace of the game from front to back. One of the things that I noticed most, and I think you guys will all agree with me, and I've heard on a couple other podcasts and a couple other shows, Rico Lewis and his involvement in the match was superb.
Cheers.
He has really broken out as a player for us for the future over the last season and through this preseason going into the season. And I am so excited to see what's to come from him because, I mean, you look at what he's done already. He was pushing Kyle Walker for a position. He's basically pushed Calvin Phillips out of a position, if you want to think about it in the terms of where
19 now?
Exactly.
Is he still 18, 19?
I think he's 19 now. But he's absolutely tremendous. And his evolution under Pep is going to be something that is going to be talked about for the future, I believe.
And he was in.
Worry me. Sorry, go ahead.
The most amazing thing about that for me yesterday against the Burnley was he was playing in like multiple roles. He was playing as an actual
3 or 4 different roles.
Out and out left back for a period of time. He tucked in quite a bit and played more of like a holding midfielder role. And at his size, that's a really difficult spot to play. So his understanding of what Pep wants him to do and how he wants to play as a 19-year-old is just outstanding. So he's somebody that he's somebody that can play in so many different positions for us, and he's gonna, with his ability and his tactical awareness, I think we're gonna see him a lot more than we did last year. He had a stretch there where he was starting regularly, but then towards the end of the season, when Pep kind of settled on his preferred lineup, he didn't see the field as much. But I think he's going to force Pep to find places for him to play as often as possible.
And especially the beginning of the season.
Well, and that's actually what I was going to say is like that's the little bit. Like last season, he started out in kind of the same deal, like where he was basically vital to us. But then the other dudes who are more established and maybe better players, technically, those guys were then figuring out what he was doing. That was the reason why Pep was picking him, and they started doing it better. And so, like that's where I'm like, man, like I really hope he doesn't get discouraged. I really hope he just realizes, like, dude, you're fucking 19. Like, give it some time, and you're gonna be a city legend if you stick with us.
Yeah. And I on that note with him too, I have a soft spot for Burnley because Captain Fantastic is managing over there. But I want to take a hot second to give a big middle finger to those fucking Burnley fans who threw a lighter at him.
Yeah, fucking ain't right. It's a fucking kid, man.
Douchebag motherfuckers right there. Like that was so uncalled for. And I'm glad that the police in the game notified or figured out who it was, and they were escorted out and gone. I hope
good to hear
immediately.
But that was
I actually didn't hear that, so that's good to hear.
Yeah, they made an announcement towards the second half that they had identified the individual and removed him, and they were gone. So quick fuck.
I mean, in that shot, you can
Burnley
see him
fan.
like,
you can see that green lighter
and caught him right in the face. Like that's such a dick move. So but kudos for him for getting back up and continuing to play
and going.
So clap to you, Rico.
So let's talk a little bit about Haaland. He
making
more goals. Started it off
for
3 minutes. Yeah.
Started off Premier League history to do that, to score the first 2 goals of a Premier League season.
Yeah. He is going to evolve, as we said, and it's going to be awesome to see after a year of being with all these guys how he melts together with them even more. Like it was already a cohesive brand last season, and now it's just going to be. I get tingles every time I think about it.
Mm-hmm. The thing I liked about him the most was a moment with, I think it was Bernardo Silva, and this is the evolution of Erling. The getting more comfortable is that he was laying into, I think Bernardo. It might have been Bernardo. It could have been somebody else.
But that was dumb shit.
But he was laying into that person for not playing a ball that he was looking for. Last year, I'm not sure if he would have felt as comfortable to in match, go after somebody and be like, hey, I'm making this run. This is where I need the ball to come to. You guys need to release it. So I think that's going to be fun to see him take a more of a vocal and outspoken role with the team to say, this is the ball I need. This is this is what I'm seeing from my end. This is what I want to see from you guys. Because there was a lot of times last year where you could see he was visibly frustrated that he wasn't getting a ball played when he was had space in behind, and they would just look to pass sideways instead.
Yeah.
So seeing him be more vocal about how he wants a ball played, I think is going to be awesome to watch, because that will make us even more dangerous when we play more of the balls in that he likes.
Was there any
with that? Sorry.
Good.
My only concern with that is that like that ball he was calling for was the wrong call. And as we've probably all seen now, like the stuff Pep's saying, like Pep, that's why Pep was remonstrating him. Like you have to acknowledge the play that goes up into that ball before you're pissed at somebody for not giving it to you. And so I hope he develops in that understanding, because if you're just bitching about not getting a ball, then that's a problem.
Right.
You know?
Right. So let's talk a little bit about our guys that are out. Stones and Diaz. It almost goes. We didn't need their services against Burnley at all.
I mean, we're sitting with
Would have
six
been
center
nice
backs
to
right
see.
now.
Right. The Great Wall of Manchester.
A
Yeah.
TM.
Right. Yeah, it was really great to see. Again, we're going back to Nathan Ake. He has a bit of leadership that he's kind of stepped up with this year. I feel like a little bit. He's able to direct on his side. But it's going to be interesting to see the rotation this year. Once they get back, of how Pep is going to pair them up with matches. Who they're going to match up against the best. Because I mean, let's be honest, since we haven't done anything with Aymeric Laporte, that's a lot of time to give around. So
I mean, we have plenty of fucking matches, to be fair.
We do, and it's going to be great for that reason to have that much depth. But I wonder, my fear is it going to cause a rift in the locker room with players being rotated, and how many minutes they're actually getting, and who actually deserves more minutes than the other? Because I think we have equally amongst all of them. I mean, they have their own specific things that they do defensively, but I don't know. I just think it's going to be kind of a crazy locker room this year with spreading out those minutes over all the competitions. What do you guys think?
Kyle?
What do you guys
think? At this point, I hope that any player that comes into our team understands that you're not fucking playing every fucking match. Period. Right. That's not how we fucking do things. Unless you're Rodri. But on that same, so that's actually what I was going to say. Like, one of my notes on that is I think that we're already seeing how Stonesy is getting, worked in that role. I think we're going to start seeing Stonesy subbed in that role instead of Rodri, to give Rodri those minutes like off.
Right.
And maybe they're lesser matches, quote unquote, or whatever the situation is. If it just means that he's not having to play every fucking match, then good. As far as anybody it really just comes down to that. Like, this is not how we are. We are not a starting 11 sub 3 club. We are we are a full ass team for all of these matches. So, it's player best up until that match you might get called, period. And like Laporte, I think that if anyone's going to bitch, it's going to be him. But again, you have to know at this point that that's how we operate.
Right.
I think he's still most likely to go. I think with the transfer window still being open for another 2.5 weeks, that they'll attempt to find him a home, because 6 center backs is carrying a lot, even if you're dispersing those minutes at the left back spot with Ake or Gvardiol can play out there. Laporte has shown that he can play out there too on the left side. And it really depends on the formation Pep is going with. But I think Ruben, when healthy, is an auto start in the middle. He's our best center back, in my opinion, by far. And as much as I've enjoyed watching Akanji play, I think there were some nervy moments against Burnley without Ruben there. His leadership. Of course. Yeah. It's just, I like, and I feel way more confident when Ruben's back there directing traffic and organizing the group and all of that. So, and I think with the leadership group that we do have amongst the players and with Pep, that any kind of locker room disharmony is going to get handled very quickly and taken care of. And Pep also has shown, obviously, that if there's anybody who's unhappy, there's the door. And if they cause any problems, we'll find a loan for you or whatever. You'll find another place to be, but you're not going to mess with the family atmosphere that we have in our locker room. So I know that Johnny is going to be back probably against Newcastle. They were saying he's probably not quite ready for Wednesday's match against Sevilla in the Super Cup. And then the more, I guess, with Ruben, he's in the concussion protocol. So that is whenever the doctors clear him, that's when he'll be back. But it looks like Johnny's going to be back. And I do love the point that you brought up, Kyle, about him spelling almost Rodri a little bit more in the middle, because Rodri himself said recently that he can't keep playing 60-odd matches a year. It's just not going to – his body won't hold up for that, as great as he is. And we don't want him to do that. We want him to be fresh and ready to go. And I think if John can provide that cover that we saw that he was capable of last year towards the end of the season when he played more centrally in the midfield, that would provide us some coverage, because Rodri, like we said, can't play that many games. As important as he is, he can't play 55 plus games. Nobody can. Exactly. Nobody is going to be able to play it like that. So,
well, and this is also an excellent time for Calvin Phillips to really show his worth and try to make his way into the squad, especially with the amount of competitions that we have this year. I really think that he needs to step his game up, because he is. We signed him for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Like we have to utilize him somewhere, and I feel like that would be the best for him. Like if you could bring him and, I mean, rotating them out, you're going to have Stones, Rodri, Lewis, and you could have Calvin Phillips there. So I really think that I would like to see Pep switch them out that way and get him more involved with the squad.
That way you could have maybe like a Stones, at least have a Rodri or a Stones in there at all times, because I feel more comfortable with those two, or at least one of them in as that holding mid. Then until Calvin shows us that he's capable on his own, kind of filling that space. But we got options, which is awesome, because even recently they've been playing Kovacic as a more of a holding next to Rodri kind of position in the first match. And when he came in for Kevin, he kind of dropped more and played a little farther back. So they got options.
I'm glad. Okay, so that's just a little sidebar. I would like to formally apologize to our listening audience. I was pretty fucking adamant that it's Kovacic, and all I've heard now is Kovacic. So I will resign myself to being wrong, and Kovacic.
My only critique for him is that there's times, and this will come because it's just obviously the first game. There was times where he was dribbling a little too much. He had some of that first year Jack Grealish, I'm going to dribble before releasing the pass, like 2 dribbles too late kind of deal. So and he'll figure that out. He's a smart guy. But overall, I've been pretty happy with it, with his performances through preseason and the first match. We just learned to move the ball a little quicker, but that's
and I'm sure that was real, like almost first game jitters for him.
That, and I think that he's trying to be Gundo, and he's not.
Right.
How did you guys think Burnley played?
Beautifully.
Yeah, dude. Like I just you even though it's 3-0, you cannot take away with the grit and the fight that they put up the entire match.
I mean,
it was
chances.
Yeah, they had plenty of chances down in the box. Vinny is really doing something there. Like it's I really, really hope that they stay up, because they, with what he's doing, like, really fucking deserve it. Like,
I don't
Could listen to that all day, man.
Right.
I don't think they're going to be any danger of being relegated. I think
agreed.
They're one of my surprise teams that I've been harping on some of my other guys, that Burnley's going to finish mid-table easily.
That's what I was going to say.
And after
Wolfgang.
Not Wolfgang.
I know.
Oh, it's not Wolfgang?
No, that's mine. Hey. Chill, dude.
Sorry.
Like, Wolfgang's passed the fuck out over here. Okay?
That's Phoebe. She's scratching a little bit. She's done now, though.
You literally woke him up. He just, hey buddy.
Sorry,
But-
bud.
Hey.
They weren't yelling at you, I promise.
But I love how structured they were, the effort, the ball movement. There were times where that's evolution of Pep. We're more apt to just sit and play a little defense, but they were moving the ball well. You could see really the main thing they were missing. They just don't have a Premier League quality top
Creator.
guy who's going to and someone who's going to finish. They had some really good off ball movement and some patterns that you could see that they had worked on. They just didn't have somebody to finish. But I love the system that they were playing. I think the energy was there. You could see that they were playing for each other. I think Vinny's doing a great job, and that's obviously with some City bias, but
I don't even think so. I think it's like literally objective to say that what he's done with Burnley is really impressive, and the football they're playing is enjoyable to watch, which I can't say for Sean Dyche all the time. So
right,
accurate. Sean Dyche.
No fucking shit. Ginger cunt. No, I mean, honestly, true. Like, I have a lot of respect for that guy. Like, I actually like. He's a hardcore motherfucker, but his football is just ugly a lot of times. That's all.
You're not wrong.
Not at all. So, I'm excited to watch more Burnley, especially to see them play against not Man City, because that's obviously a tough test right off the bat for them, and I think they'll have a lot more luck with playing non-best team in the land and all the world.
I'm actually interested to see them against like Newcastle, like those kind of like top, these up and coming like top 4 clubs. How they fare against them, because I mean obviously Newcastle has just been like and now they're up here, like they're a legitimate like top club.
Could you do that one more time for us?
Yeah, one more time.
Thanks for that.
Absolutely.
You did it.
The way my brain works.
So let's touch a little bit on this upcoming Super Cup match against Sevilla. What do you guys expect from this match? Do you want the trophy? Is it important enough to you? Yeah.
Super Cup, man. Fucking Super Cup.
Again,
it's a trophy we've never won before, so I'm all for going all out, whooping Sevilla's ass, and hoisting the trophy midweek. So absolutely, I think we're gonna come out guns blazing.
Like, if there is one thing that Pep loves, it's adding trophies. And like, I have full belief, especially because who do we have coming in the weekend?
It might be Newcastle.
Yeah,
it's Newcastle on Saturday.
Yeesh, that could be a little tough. But especially from Wednesday, match is kind of fucked. But thanks Premier League. But no, I really think that he's gonna be like, we can lose a Premier League match instead of losing a trophy, And I think we're gonna fucking. I mean, not to say anything against Sevilla. I have a lot of respect for them too as a club. I mean, you don't hang around that level of Europa all that. I mean, consistently.
Right.
Well, guys, curious to see the squad selection.
Yeah, absolutely.
See what lineup, roster, and formation he throws out there against those guys. But now I want to win it. Don't get me wrong. I want to lift the trophy. Do I rate the trophy very high? Probably not.
Not as high as Liverpool did.
I don't. So I want to win, obviously, but is the trophy itself? I'm like, but it'd be nice to win something that we haven't won before and put in the trophy cabinet. Yeah.
I mean, for me, it just doesn't. If we win, we win. Cool. If we don't,
I just want
to me this feels like Community Shield all over again.
That's what I was going to say. It's bigger than the Community Shield. It's
right, of
bigger
course.
than the Community Shield, but it's really a lot like the Community Shield, like the way it's the match is played as a whole. Like it's basically the Community Shield.
It's we win it, and it's like, well, Man City, we're supposed to win it, but if we lose, then it's a whole fucking talking point from those dumbass journos to rag on us a little bit more and come up with scenarios where there's a fucking problem with the team and yada yada yada. So
Exactly.
Like to not hear that for at least 2 days until Newcastle. We play Newcastle, so let's just kick their ass.
And Newcastle.
them too. Hell yeah.
We'll just not lose a fucking match all season.
Wouldn't that be it?
Hey.
Then fuck Arsenal doesn't have it. That's right. I was going to say, now Arsenal doesn't have anything to say.
Right.
Shutting up all those red clubs, which is always fun.
Honestly, though, like where we are right now as a team, because we were cold, we were slow, we were not at our best against Burnley, and we still looked better than most of the teams I watched over this weekend. And
this facts.
Like the Chelsea, Liverpool, like we looked way better than both of those teams. So it's like Arsenal is the only one that's like, but
and they struggle with Nottingham Forest, though. Like
exactly. I mean, they still conceded. Like, what the fuck?
To Nottingham Forest.
Like, dude, step up
nervy. It's nervy moments for those.
I mean, they're missing players, but who isn't?
Everybody is at this point.
Yeah,
right. All right, guys. I think that's about all the time we got for you today. So thanks for tuning in. Make sure that you hit the subscribe, hit the bell button, so that you can make sure that you're up to date on all of our stuff.
Hello.
And shout out to all our guests that have been on over the last couple of weeks. Really appreciate you guys coming on and being with us. And you look forward to more guests coming soon. We are booking some people looking to talk to some official support clubs. So if you're listening to this and you have not reached out to us before and you would like to come on the show, we would love to have you. Until next week, when we cover Sevilla and we cover Newcastle, we'll see you then.
Much love.
Peace.